Hi, I'm Nicholeen Peck, and we are going to be talking about how to get kids to wake up in the morning. Waking up in the morning is a self-government skill, and I teach all things about self-government, parenting, good communication. So let's talk about how to get them out of bed. In this video, I'm going to talk about how to talk to your children about getting up so that we can hopefully give them a picture of why this is important. And then we're going to talk about what to do if things don't go right. If a child will not wake up in the morning, this actually shows that they do not have a big picture of why this is important. It also shows that they are focusing a whole lot on details, such as, I just feel tired right now. They're putting a lot of emphasis on feelings and upon comfort. So this should give you a little bit of an indication of what kind of conversation you need to have with your child if you're going to help them overcome that obstacle called the bed. You need to have a big picture view with them. You need to make sure that you factor in your mind what they might be feeling and their comfort levels, but we have to help them understand that those things are all temporary and that those things actually will put them in bondage. It will stop their progression in a day. So we have to have a conversation that brings some things into light as we keep in mind what they might be feeling on those moments when they don't want to get out of bed. When you're having a discussion with your child, you need to make sure to talk about the why of getting out of bed and how come that's important. You might need to also discuss the why they haven't been getting out of bed. I'm sure you've been discussing that probably a lot, but it's important to just put a little bit of understanding there where you say, we're not motivated to get up. And so, why is that? What is it that we are hoping for motivation to get out of bed? And they might say, well, I'm hoping to never get out of bed. Okay, well, then you might say something like, it sounds to me like that's kind of a depressive mindset. So are we struggling with something like depression or something that we need to go see a therapist for? I mean, you can call their bluff on some of those types of things, but if they really are struggling in that way, go help them. Get some help for them so that they can find some motivation to get out of bed potentially. Also, you might want to question, are you using this as an excuse, right? Now, lots of times people are super focused on school, and that's why they want the child to wake up in the morning, because they don't want the child to miss school. And I know that it's becoming an increasing problem in schools all around the nation and the world, actually, because I hear from people in a lot of different countries in Western Europe and stuff, that there are a lot of children who are just saying, I don't care, I don't want to get up, I don't want to go to school. And parents are going, what are we going to do? Your whole future's at stake. And so see, there's this very narrow view. There's not the big picture. And the parents are wondering how they can help them get the big picture. Well, I say think outside the box, okay? It's not really about the school at the school. It's about them becoming a really functional adult, whether it's getting a job, whether it's going to school, whether it's doing homeschool, whether it's doing a project like weeding a garden or planting a garden. All those things lead toward becoming a functional adult. So we've got to make ourselves focus on, wait, we're becoming an adult here. So we've got to make sure that we have that bigger picture and don't get stuck on one thing, because if there's a problem at school, then homeschool them, I mean, if it's legal where you live, like I totally would do that. In fact, I would totally do that because I homeschooled my children, but not because they wouldn't get up, just because it was the perfect fit for our family. But anyway, make sure that you open your mind to other options, because they should be thriving toward adulthood, and this not getting out of bed thing is not thriving. Now, there could be things going on as far as chemical things, hormonal things. There's a lot of people who become very, very tired when their body goes through puberty and they're having all these hormonal changes, especially boys. They are growing so much muscle mass and so much bone mass at the time of puberty that it truly wipes them out. So maybe you need to be factoring in something else like, well, maybe we need to go to bed earlier, right? That could be a thing. Or maybe we need to have a nap. We come home from school, we have a nap. and then we need to go to bed, or maybe something is getting in the way. This is another thing that can happen. It's very common for people to be using digital devices in their beds or before bed. Their brains can't shut off because they've been stimulated by the device, or they're allowing friends to text them or something all night long. These are things that will make people not go to sleep. You've got to make sure that you are also removing all of those kinds of distractions if you want your child to wake up in the morning, and making a really good plan. So this is what you're going to do when you have a meeting with them. You're going to sit down and you're going to say, this is what I've noticed that's going on. We need to make a plan for it. We don't have to, keep going with the same path of going to the same school or whatever, but we've got to make a plan for how to fix this. And if not, I'm going to assume that there's something medical going on and we're going to have to seek some medical attention. Right? And then you would go down that road. So there's no reason you can't take some action on that, but you would just say, let's talk about it. Let's make a plan for what we're going to do here, how we can give ourselves instruction to wake up in the morning and actually do it. So let's talk about following instructions from ourselves and from other people. But before we do that, click that subscribe button. You're not going to want to miss the videos that come out on this channel related to self-government that will help you and your child not only get out of bed, but a whole lot of other things too. So click subscribe now. So starting when your children are really young, you can teach them one of the 4 basic skills, which is how to follow instructions. When a person learns to follow instructions, they don't just learn to follow someone else's instructions, but they learn the pattern for giving themselves an instruction as well. So if I'm going to wake up in the morning when it's time, I have to follow my own instruction. Or I guess you could say the instruction from my alarm clock that says, wake up, wake up. And I have to decide ahead of time that this is a friendly instruction, that this is okay, this is helping me. What your children are often doing is deciding ahead of time that because they don't want to deal with the day, they don't want to deal with the responsibility, which again, that's really trending toward a depressive state, okay? But if they're not wanting to deal with those things and get up and get moving, then it is very likely that they are looking at the invitation to wake up as unfriendly, as controlling, as something that goes against their freedom even perhaps. And so we've got to make sure that we change the mindset on that. You are helping them to get out of the bed so that they can produce, so that they can progress in their life. And that is a very friendly invitation. When they go to bed at night, they need to look at their little alarm clock and think of it as a friendly alarm clock. So my son, who's 17, he's almost 18, he named his alarm clock Gretchen. So Gretchen is this little person that's by him at bed at night, and Gretchen wakes him up in the morning, and he has decided that Gretchen is okay. That Gretchen likes him, that Gretchen is helping him out. Now, you don't have to name your alarm clock, but I thought it was really cute. When he got his new alarm clock, he's like, I'm calling the clock Gretchen. And I was like, okay. Actually, I think he said he was calling the clock Ginger, and then I said, I think we should call her Gretchen, and he liked that better. So if she became Gretchen, but Gretchen wakes him up every day, and he's okay with it, even if it's hard to get out of bed at age 17, even if he's like, oh no. But he also knows that I will let him take naps later. So I am not opposed to nap taking. I actually think a lot of teenagers should have naps because of what's happening inside their bodies chemically and everything else. So he will sometimes take a nap later in the day when he can, and then he gets right back to all of his activities that he's engaged in. This is a way where he can budget his energy, get the sleep he needs, and do all of the things also at the same time that he feels like are required of him. When you teach your children young to follow instructions, then they learn that they can give themselves an instruction too. So let's talk about the steps to following an instruction. They are to look at the person or the situation, which the situation in this case is getting up. And in my son's case, the alarm clock is the person Gretchen, okay? So look at the person or situation, keep a calm face, voice, and body, and then say, okay, or disagree appropriately about it, then do the task immediately, and then check back. This is the recipe for self-motivation for life. If you think of yourself when you are feeling motivated and getting the dishes done and the laundry done and all the things that you do in your life, you are doing those things out of the follow instructions mindset. You are saying, I'm telling myself to do this. It's a friendly instruction. I'm going to do it. and then I'm going to tell myself I did good after, and then I'm going to do the next thing. These are our most motivated moments. We need to bring that into the everyday life when our children are young and help them learn that following instructions is a really good thing that leads to praise and all kinds of feelings of accomplishment, so that they can later give themselves instructions when it's important, when they're learning and growing and becoming adults themselves, for things like waking up and making it to work on time. Now, here's the part you've probably been waiting for. What do you do when they don't wake up and when you really want to wake them up? Well, you could go in there and sing a cute little song and hope that it wakes them up, but no, they're just getting attention right then for the misbehavior. So you can sing the little song, but what I would do first is I would say, hey, I'm giving you an instruction. You need to wake up, okay? You need to get out of the bed, okay? Pick one of those. Get out of the bed is even more of a progression from waking up. So I did that with my children for years, especially through the years where they would struggle in their teen years with waking up in the morning. And I would just say, I'm giving you an instruction. Remember how to follow an instruction. And I might even list those steps. And then I would say, here's your instruction. I need you to wake up, okay? And if they didn't say anything at first, I would say, okay. And then they would say, okay. And then they would start getting up. Because they knew that if they did not say okay and get up and then check back and say, Mom, I woke up, is there anything else? Then I would correct them. If they did not do it, I would do a correction. And that correction would be a description of what happened, a description of what should have happened, and a rationale for why it should have happened. And then they would earn a negative consequence, which in our family is usually an extra chore. Although you could decide something else if you felt like it would be more motivating to the child than an extra chore. However, I will say that usually just doing an extra chore was enough. My children didn't want to have to wake up and immediately start doing extra chores. They wanted some moments to wake up and get going instead. So we usually use work in our family for negative consequences because work is the antidote for a sick character. But don't focus your attention on the work. Actually, your attention needs to be focused on the correction of what happened and what should have happened, and that pre-teach before the instruction is even given. The pre-teach is the magic moment that lets them know this is your time. You get to decide. You either wake up right now with the instruction or we will have to do a correction. They know the process that I'm going to go through. Having a set process for correcting your children, praising your children so that they know when to use their skills is a really great mercy that you can give them. This helps them know exactly when they need to turn it on, use the skills, and it lets them know what your reaction is going to be no matter what they choose. This brings a lot of security to children, even though they maybe don't want to accept those negative consequences sometimes. I know that there is so much more that I could teach you about this one topic, but I don't have time in this video. I have created an entire full-length class video called The Not So Known Secret for Parenting Success, and I highly recommend that video next. So click on the video to The Not So Known Secret for Parenting Success now and find more skills and solutions to help your children follow instructions, accept no answers, disagree appropriately, and a whole lot more.